Heartwarming moment. Girl's pain exposed as millionaire father discovers incredible hidden truth. Emily Johnson never dreamed her life could take a turn like this. Seated in the cramped living room of their small Midwestern home, she glanced at her mom, Marla, who was flipping pancakes while balancing a fresh pot of coffee. In the sleepy town of Maplewood, dreams felt as distant as the stars. Yet, Emily's heart raced with determination. Each morning, she donned her worn-out sneakers and broke out of poverty's grasp, set on achieving something greater. A loud thud interrupted her thoughts as the mail hit the table. An envelope, pristine and gleaming amidst the usual bills and junk, caught her attention. Her mom tossed it over her shoulder. "Looks important, Em." The minute Emily touched it, her heartbeat quickened. A whisper of a dream, a life less ordinary, flickered to life. With shaking hands, she tore it open. The words within shook her to her core. She had a father, Thomas Mitchell, a millionaire 2 removed from her life. "What?" she gasped, her breath catching. As memories of her childhood came crashing in, her heart ached. She dreamed of the perfect dad, one who wouldn't abandon her. A million questions bubbled up. Who was he? Why did he leave? She felt both elation and anger battling within her chest, a palpable tension, like a taut string about to snap. Emily thought of her mom, who spent long nights waitressing at the diner, juggling tables like a circus performer. Marla's unwavering belief in her daughter gave Emily strength. But those jerks at school, Ryan and his crew, never let her forget her family's struggles. "Loser," they taunted, and it dug deep into her soul. Could a rich father fix this? Would he just make it worse? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Facing a world where classism ruled and judgment reigned, Emily felt trapped under the weight of her reality. Yet, she couldn't shake the belief that this letter was a turning point. Could she really reach out to him? Was she ready to meet the man who turned his back on her, or would the community resent her for it? The whispers already echoed through her mind. Look at her, suddenly a rich girl. As days stretched on, turmoil brewed in her heart. The confrontation with her father loomed just as Maplewood faced a crisis, one that sent shockwaves through the town. The school's beloved librarian, known for the Saturday story hours, had been in a car accident. Suddenly, Emily found herself thrust into a storm of grief and rage, forcing her to lean on the very community that once teased her. People came together, pooling their resources for medical bills and support, even those who had whispered behind her back. During this heart-wrenching time, she found surprising allies, inviting her into the fold despite her father's wealth. Could she reconcile the girl from the diner with the daughter of a millionaire? Every meeting, every moment felt like a daunting gamble. The threads of hope wove tighter around her heart, pulling and tugging her toward an unexpected connection. But as Emily stood at the edge of something monumental, the question burned within her: could she forgive the past and embrace a possible future? Would she allow herself to turn the page or retreat, fearing the judgment that was all but certain? The world, with all its tendrils reaching for her fate, awaited her choice. With each passing day, Emily felt the heaviness of uncertainty clinging to her. The vibrant chaos of Maplewood, once bustling with laughter and friendship, had slowly morphed into a backdrop of muted whispers and sidelong glances. She pushed through the school halls, caught between the growing curiosity of her peers and the crumbling worry in her heart. Emily glanced at her reflection in the window of her favorite diner. She hardly recognized the girl staring back. Longing burned in her chest. Should she reach out to her father, the man who could change everything, or remain in the safety of her life, however painful it might be? Was he even the man she needed him to be? The town rallied to support their librarian, candles flickering during vigils, hope intertwined with despair. Each moment of grief reminded Emily of her own void, the absence felt even before she knew her father existed. Still, the unity of her community provided a blanket of warmth, encouraging her to seek connection rather than isolation. One chilly afternoon, as she stood at the edge of the school's playground watching the younger kids laugh and play, a familiar voice cut through her thoughts. It was Miss Thomas, the spirited art teacher, always ready with a smile. "Hey, Emily. How are you holding up with everything?" Emily fumbled for words. "It's a lot, you know?" She shrugged, trying to appear nonchalant though her heart ached. Miss Thomas studied her, an understanding spark in her eyes. "It's okay to feel overwhelmed. But remember, you aren't alone in this. Sometimes facing the unknown can lead to something beautiful. You never know what might come your way." Her words wrapped around Emily like a comforting embrace, and she felt a flicker of resolve. That evening at dinner, Marla sat across from her, a thoughtful expression crossing her face as she poured syrup over pancakes. "You've been awfully quiet, Em. What's on your mind?" Emily toyed with her food, weighing the truth against the fear of the unknown. "Mom, what if I reached out to him? What do you think would happen?" Marla's brow furrowed, worry etched into her features. "I want you to be happy, sweetheart. But I can't pretend it wouldn't hurt if he turns out to be different than you imagined. But isn't that the point? To find out?" I want to know why. The urgency in her voice surprised even her. It was an awakening, a realization that she needed answers to understand herself too. Marla nodded, her expression softening. "You've always been brave, Emily. Just remember, no matter what, I'm right here with you." With her mother's support firming her resolve, Emily knew she had to make a decision soon. She could feel the weight of potential change swirling around her like autumn leaves caught in the wind. The next day, nerves gnawed at her stomach. She took a deep breath, clutching the crumpled letter that had set this course in motion. Would reaching out to Thomas Mitchell bring healing, or more pain? But before she could act on her newfound courage, the school principal announced an emergency assembly. Whispers buzzed through the hall. Something big was happening. As Emily shuffled into the gymnasium, her heart raced. She glanced at her friends, all wide-eyed with anticipation. What possibly could this be about? A new development in the librarian's situation? Or perhaps a revelation tied to her own father? Standing before her classmates, Emily braced herself. Whatever the news, she would have to face it head-on. And as the principal cleared his throat, ready to reveal the truth, Emily's world tipped once again. What destiny awaited she and her father? Would this be the moment she had longed for, or a crushing blow? The room held its breath, and so did she. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, the room filled with an electric anticipation. She felt buoyed by voices around her, whispers resonating like a low hum of uncertainty. Faces she knew well stared back, their expressions a blend of curiosity and concern. They shifted, exchanging glances, as the principal finally began to speak. "Thank you for gathering on such short notice, students," he said, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. "I know many of you have been wondering about the recent events surrounding our beloved librarian, Mr. Hargrove. Today comes with a significant announcement." Emily could hardly breathe. Each word felt like a step toward a cliff, the edge just out of sight. The murmurs in the crowd faded, her focus narrowing on the principal as she leaned forward, straining to absorb every detail. "That same spirit of care and community we've shown to Mr. Hargrove will now extend to a family in need." He paused, glancing at a few faculty members beside him. "We have received a generous donation from none other than Thomas Mitchell." Gasps erupted among the students. Emily's palms turned clammy as her mind raced. Her father, the name she had whispered to herself for days, was giving money to the school? A knot twisted tight in her stomach. He is not only supporting Mr. Hargrove's medical bills, but has also pledged to improve our library and fund a scholarship program for students who excel in literature. The principal's words took on a celebratory tone, but it felt like a heavy weight on Emily's shoulders. As the crowd erupted into applause, she sat frozen. How could he be so generous and yet remain a stranger? Her desire to reach out craved clarity, but this revelation felt like quicksand pulling her down, each cheer reminding her of what was left unsaid. The assembly ended, but the clamor didn't die down. Students clustered in groups, buzzing with excitement. Emily stood at the edge, isolated and dizzy from the whirlwind of emotions. Hadn't she just grappled with the desire to find him? Now, he was present in a way she hadn't even anticipated. As they filed out, she felt a hand on her shoulder, and turned to find Miss Thomas watching her closely. "Emily, are you all right?" "I don't know," she whispered, the words catching in her throat. Miss Thomas smiled softly, encouraging yet cautious. It was just about the financial help he offered. Sometimes, these connections change everything. You deserve to know your truth, even if it's wrapped in surprises. Emily nodded, trying to digest her teacher's words. Did he even know she existed? Did he care? How could she approach him now? Do you think she hesitated, the thought hanging between them? Do you think I should reach out? Absolutely, Miss Thomas said, her eyes lighting up with encouragement. But remember, it won't be easy. Prepare yourself for any outcome, good or bad. The weight of her words wrapped around Emily like a cloak, both comfort and caution entwined. Could this be her moment? The one she had waited for? She squeezed her eyes shut, searching inward for the courage buried deep within. I have to know, she finally breathed, opening her eyes wide, resolve igniting within her. The moment she stepped outside into the crisp air, Emily's breath hitched. The decision was no longer locked in her heart. It burst forth like a crack in a dam. The bustling streets of Maplewood felt infused with possibility. But how would she reach him? How would she take that leap across the chasm of fear and uncertainty? As she walked away from the school, a sense of urgency surged within her, a fire sparking a new journey. She pulled out her phone, fingers trembling as she searched for the number she had spent days memorizing. One tap away from a connection she longed for. Would he answer? Would there be a response that could alter her destiny? As she pressed call, anticipation intertwined with dread. The world around her blurred, the moment suspended in time. She was on the precipice, hovering between what was known and the vast unknown. What awaited on the other end of the line? The ringing sounded like thunder in her ears, each tone amplifying the whirl of thoughts in Emily's mind. Could she really be doing this? Her fingers tightened around the phone, her breath coming in quick bursts. What on earth would she even say? She thought back to all those nights spent wondering about him. She had crafted countless scenarios in her head. Would he be pleased to hear from her? Would there be anger? She was unprepared for either. Just as she was about to hang up, a voice broke through the uncertainty. "Hello?" Her stomach dropped. It was him. Thomas Mitchell, her father, on the other end. There was a warmth to his voice, but beneath it lay a thread of distraction, maybe weariness. Hi," she stammered, her heart racing. "This is Emily." There was a pause, and she could almost hear the gears turning in his mind. Had he even known she existed? Emily? My daughter? His surprise was palpable, sending a wave of vulnerability washing over her. "Yes. I've wanted to talk to you for a long time." Her voice barely rose above a whisper. She felt exposed, the weight of years hanging heavy in the air. "What is this about?" he asked gently, but the caution in his tone was evident. His hesitation stung. I saw an announcement at school about your donation to the library and for Mr. Hargrove. Oh, that yes, he replied, the warmth fading slightly. I felt it was necessary. Why? The word escaped her lips before she had time to stop it. She didn't mean to sound confrontational, but this was her moment, and she couldn't hold back. He sighed deeply, a sound heavy with history. Things have been complicated between us, Emily. I wish I could say more complicated. The anger began to creep in now. You don't even know me. How can you say that? You've missed so much. Listen, I'm trying to do what I can for my end, he said, his voice firm, tinged with an edge she hadn't expected. Her pulse quickened in frustration. You think a check is enough? You're just a face in a million to me. Do you even realize what it's like? Silence filled the space, and Emily could feel the walls closing in around her. The sound of distant traffic seemed to echo in her mind. Emily, I never meant to hurt you, he finally said, his voice softer now. I care for you. I've just been lost. Lost? She echoed incredulously. You're a millionaire. You have everything, and yet I don't have you, he cut in, his voice suddenly raw. There was a truth there that tugged at something deep within her, something she hadn't let herself feel. Do you even want a daughter? The question came out more tremulously than she'd intended, but it felt freeing, cathartic even. What I want is to fix this, he said, the urgency in his voice unmistakable. To know you. To be there for you, if you let me, just as hope dared to creep in. Another thought crashed down. And how do I know this isn't just about guilt? You've done the charity thing. What's next? A Father of the Year award? He chuckled lightly, a sound that surprised them both. I can't blame you for thinking that, but I want you to know I want more than that. I want to know the real Emily. As her heart wavered between anger and yearning, she heard his sincerity. Emotion bubbled to the surface, and for the first time, she felt two different veins running through her desire for connection and the fear of disappointment. Could they truly start over? Was it possible to forge a relationship from the ashes of their history? She took a deep breath, steadying herself. So how do we begin? But before he could respond, the line disconnected suddenly, leaving Emily clutching the phone in disbelief. Confusion immediately settled in her chest. What had just happened? Was that a sign of hope or another dead end? As she stood there on the sidewalk, her mind racing, Emily couldn't help but wonder if the real journey was only just beginning. What could be waiting for her next? Emily stared at the phone, her heartbeat drumming like a persistent reminder of what just happened. Disappointment washed over her like a heavy rain. She couldn't believe it had cut off like that just when they were finally starting to peel back the layers. The sidewalk felt like a tightrope, and she teetered dangerously between anger and hope. What had she expected? A fairy tale ending? No, it had always been messier than that. That brief connection felt like fragile art. One wrong move, and it might shatter into nothing. She inhaled deeply. The sun was beginning to slip below the horizon, painting the sky in warm oranges and blues, as if in defiance of the chaos inside her. With trembling hands, she put the phone back in her pocket. It felt like a weight pinning her down, a tether to unresolved feelings, and a father she barely knew. Her legs moved before her brain could catch up, and she began to walk, unsure of where she was headed. Maybe a coffee? Maybe a walk to clear her head? Everywhere felt heavy with possibilities. As she neared the park, she caught sight of a small group of children playing frisbee. Their laughter filled the air, carefree and light, a world untouched by parental complexities and unspoken words. It struck her sharply, a reminder of what she'd missed. Underneath her frustration, there was an enduring ache for connection, a desire to belong to something greater than herself. She found a bench and sank onto it, rubbing her temples as thoughts tumbled over one another. Did he really want her in his life? Or was he just trying to alleviate some guilt? She shook her head, battling against the discrepancies that clouded her heart. It was hard to tease out his motives, especially when she had built up walls thicker than she realized. "Why is this so complicated?" she whispered, half asking the universe. Her phone vibrated in her pocket, and her heart skipped. But when she pulled it out, disappointment struck again. Just a message from Sarah, her best friend, asking if they were still on for their regular catch-up. With a sigh, she tapped out a quick reply, not quite ready to share this new chapter. Suddenly, a shadow fell over her, interrupting her thoughts. She looked up to see an older man, grizzled but kind, standing nearby. He wore a faded baseball cap and a warm smile. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, gesturing to the space beside her. "Sure," Emily replied, surprised by her own willingness to open up. They sat in silence for a moment, observing the trees rustling in the breeze. "You seem deep in thought," he said after a while, his voice gentle. She hesitated, but something about his demeanor drew her in. "I just had a conversation with my father for the first time. I guess it didn't go like I expected." The man nodded knowingly. "Family can be quite the puzzle. You never know which pieces fit until you try." His words mirrored her feelings, wrapping around the confusion and hurt, providing an unexpected sense of comfort. "Do you think it's ever too late?" she challenged softly, her gaze fixed on the ground. "Too late? Nah. There's always time to build bridges, but you've got to be willing to start laying the bricks," he said. "Just take it one at a time. You never know when a simpler conversation can lead to something beautiful." Emily looked at him, her heart stirring. Could it really be that simple? "Thank you," she whispered, feeling a glimmer of hope spark within her. But just as she felt a flicker of determination, her phone buzzed again. It was a text alert from a number she didn't recognize. She hesitated before opening it, a swirl of anticipation and anxiety clouding her mind. "I want to talk more. Can we meet?" the message read. Her heart raced all over again. Who was it? And what did they want to discuss? In that moment, the world around her faded. The only thing that mattered was that text, and what it might mean for her future. Before she could process it, she stood, ready to take the plunge into whatever came next. Who would she look for? And was she ready to move forward? There was only one way to find out. Emily's pulse quickened as she read the message a second and third time, hoping for clarity that wouldn't come. The name was unfamiliar, the number a mystery. What if it was a mistake? Her brain raced with scenarios, each one more wild than the last. "Sorry," she murmured to the older man beside her, still processing. "Just an unexpected text." "Go on," he encouraged, leaning slightly closer, his eyes kind but surprised by her agitation. "Is it someone important?" "Maybe," she replied, biting her lip, caught between excitement and dread. What if this was the breakthrough she had been yearning for? What if it led her to more heartbreak? "Can I see it?" he asked gently. There was nothing invasive in his expression, just genuine curiosity. She hesitated, glancing back at the children playing, their laughter a stark contrast to her turmoil. With a nod, she turned the screen toward him. He said, tilting his head as he read. "What do you think? Should you meet this person?" Emily sighed. "I don't know. What if he is just a stranger? I barely know anything about my dad. What if I open up a whole can of worms?" Or he offered, "What if it's a chance to finally piece together your story? You'll never know unless you take that step." The weight of his words settled heavily on her. She wanted to believe him. Maybe she did deserve that chance, to write her own narrative, not defined by others' actions. Taking a deep breath, she plucked up the courage to respond, her fingers tapping out a tentative reply. "Sure. Where do you want to meet?" Her heart danced, a mix of fear and excitement fluttering inside her. The man beside her watched with an approving smile as she hit send. "Good for you," he said. "That took bravery." Emily gave a small smile, grateful for a stranger's encouragement. For all of her life, she had been waiting for someone else to write the script, only to realize that the pen was in her own hands all along. Just as they settled back into silence, her phone buzzed again, causing her heart to leap once more. The text read, "How about the coffee shop at the corner of Maple and Pine? Tomorrow at noon? Tomorrow?" The thought gave her pause. Could she really meet someone she didn't know? "What do you think?" The man probed gently, reading her hesitation. "It feels too soon," Emily admitted, her mind swirling. "It's your choice," he replied. "But remember, sometimes the best journeys start with a single step." She looked into his eyes, deep pools of warmth that encouraged her to leap. "Okay," she typed out. "I'll be there." After hitting send, she felt an exhilarating blend of anxiety and relief. Anyone else might misjudge it as impulsiveness, but for her, it was a significant leap from the shadow she'd been living in. They exchanged a few more words about innocuous topics, yet a shifting undercurrent of excitement buzzed between them, more than simple banter. As the sun dipped lower, shadows stretched long, making way for twilight. "Take care of yourself," the older man said as they prepared to part. "You can do this. Remember, bridges are built one step at a time." "Thank you." Her voice trailed off, touched by unexpected kindness. As Emily began to walk home, her thoughts buzzed with potential outcomes. Would her father be welcoming? Would they actually connect, or would it all crumble like the fairy tale she had once wished for? The night wrapped around her like a cozy blanket, but the uncertain thrill of tomorrow sparked a fire deep within. With every step, she got closer to a truth she had been avoiding for so long. But as she turned the corner toward her street, her phone buzzed again. Another message waited, and her heart sank. Could it be another curveball, just when she felt ready to face the future? She hesitated before unlocking her phone and bracing herself for whatever news awaited her. Was she truly prepared for whatever came next? Emily stared at her phone, heart pounding as she glanced at the latest message. The name remained unknown, a haunting presence multiplying her anxiety. With a trembling finger, she clicked the notification. It wasn't another mystery. It was a picture. The image loading felt like an eternity. Finally, it appeared, and her breath caught in her throat. A middle-aged man stood smiling broadly, arms crossed, radiant and confident. He had striking blue eyes, much like her own. The caption read, "I just wanted you to know I'm thinking of you. Can't wait to meet tomorrow. Dad." A wave of mixed emotions crashed over her. This was supposed to be a moment of joy, the kind of reunion she had fantasized about. But instead, a knot of panic twisted in her stomach. This man looked happy, successful, like someone who had led a charmed life, so far removed from her own struggles. Did he have any idea of the chaos inside of her? What if he doesn't actually want to talk? She murmured aloud to herself, trying to rationalize her apprehension. What if he is just curious? Or worse, what if... Her thoughts spiraled with possibilities. What if he couldn't care less? What if she opened her heart only to face rejection? A new wave of doubt settled over her like a heavy fog. Time ticked away as she paced her small apartment, anxiety coursing through her. A part of her wanted to ignore the meeting, to hide rather than expose herself again. But another part, that tiny flicker of hope, urged her forward. Why was she so afraid? Learning the truth about her father could fill in pieces to her own life puzzle. Maybe those missing pieces would help define her future, not just linger in the shadows of her past. Determined, she pulled out a notebook and pen, the weight of her decision settling like a comforting cloak. She started jotting down questions. What did she want to ask him? Why had he never been around? 1,000 questions crowded her mind. In the middle of her writing, an unexpected sound rang out from her phone. It pinged again, another message from him. "By the way, I've got some surprises for you to share tomorrow as well." Surprises? A whirlwind of curiosity collided with dread. What did that mean? Emily stopped to take a deep breath, her heart racing. The bathroom mirror reflected her anxious expression. She looked different, older maybe, but also strangely confident. For the first time in a long time, she had taken actions into her own hands, casting aside the shadows to reach for an unknown light. She felt vulnerable but powerful at the same time. Perhaps meeting him could unravel cagey secrets, but it also meant a chance to reconnect, to forge a bond that had been denied for too long. As she scribbled down her questions, suddenly a thought pierced through her previous fears. What if behind those surprises lay a path to understanding? What if she discovered more than she ever expected? With a newfound resolve, she put her pen down, feeling a sense of clarity wash over her. Tomorrow would bring answers, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to rewrite her own narrative. And then, almost as if the universe was listening, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a video call request. Emily's heart dropped. Who dared to call her now, amidst all her swirling thoughts? Should she answer? As she debated whether to accept the call, she felt an exhilarating mix of trepidation and curiosity. What awaited her on the other side of that screen? Was she ready to face whatever was coming next? Emily held her breath, staring at the screen. The video call request felt monumental, each passing second amplifying her anxiety. He was just a finger tap away, yet the distance between them felt insurmountable. After what seemed like forever, she swiped to answer. The screen flickered, and then she was staring into the face of the man from the photo, her father. "Emily!" He beamed at her, but the warmth of the smile was almost overwhelming. It filled the tiny space of her apartment, yet closed it in at the same time. "Hi," she responded, her voice barely a whisper. She noticed the small wrinkles near his eyes, the subtle hint of gray in his hair. It was all so surreal. He looked like someone she could have known in her dreams, but had never truly seen until now. With every heartbeat, her stomach churned. "Wow, you look so much like your mom," he said, his voice smooth and genuine. Emily searched his eyes for a flicker of something: regret, affection, maybe even longing, but all she could find was a bright enthusiasm. "Thanks," she replied tentatively, swallowing hard. "You do too. Are you ready for tomorrow?" he asked, leaning closer to his camera. Emily grimaced. She wasn't sure if she was ready at all. "Ready as I'll ever be," she said, attempting to project a confidence she didn't feel. He chuckled, and the sound was like a balm against her worries. "I've got some things planned that I think you'll really love. Can't wait to show you." "Surprises," she echoed. The word hung awkwardly in the air between them, a greeting laden with unspoken fears. "Yeah," he said, an eager sparkle in his eyes. "Some family stories, maybe even a few mementos we can go through together. Your grandfather's old watch, stuff like that. There is so much history I want to share." History. A word that carried so much weight for her. Emily felt the coils of anxiety tighten at the thought. "Why now?" she asked, surprising herself. The question slipped out before she could catch it. "Why did you reach out after all this time?" His expression faltered, the joy wavering for just a second. "I've thought about reaching out for years. But life got overwhelming, and I let fear win." There was honesty in his voice, streaked with a hint of vulnerability. "Fear?" Emily whispered, her heart softening. "Fear of what?" "Fear of disappointing you, not being the dad you deserved," he murmured, his voice thickening. "I'm not proud of the choices I've made. But I want to change that. I want to be there for you now, if you'll let me." Silence enveloped them, pregnant with emotion. Emily felt the urge to cry, but instead of tears, something else welled inside her, an ember of hope. I guess we'll see how it goes tomorrow," she finally said. She felt torn between elation at this unexpected glimpse of honesty and fear that everything might be too fragile. What if tomorrow shattered every hope she allowed to blossom? "Just know I'm really excited, he said, a smile returning to his lips. "I should let you go, but I'll see you soon." "Okay?" "Okay," she managed, her voice steadier. As she ended the call, Emily sank back into the couch, heart racing. She'd taken an important step forward, yet it felt precarious. She could feel the ground shift beneath her feet. Would tomorrow truly bring answers, or just deepen the questions? All she knew was that her story was about to take a turn she couldn't yet fathom. What lay ahead? The chance to rebuild, or perhaps the moments that sent her spiraling back into her past? All she could do was wait and hope. The morning sun streamed through Emily's window, casting a warm glow over the room. It was an unfamiliar comfort given the anxiety twisting inside her. Today was the day everything could change. The thought sent shivers down her spine. She fidgeted with the hem of her shirt, pacing back and forth. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table, startling her. With one swift motion, she grabbed it, half expecting a message from him. Instead, it was a notification about the weather: clear skies, a perfect day for what lay ahead. It felt ominous. Nature should match her turbulent feelings, but instead, it was offering nothing but calm. After what felt like an eternity, she finally settled on her couch, pulling at the fabric nervously. She could remember every word from their conversation yesterday. Those tender moments held so much promise. But now, the enormity of it all crashed over her like waves in a turbulent ocean. Emily glanced at the clock. Just a few more hours. Her heart raced. She had rehearsed what she wanted to say, but felt uncertain. Could she really express the whirlwind of emotions inside her? What if her fears came rushing back like a tide against the shore? Taking a deep breath, she grabbed a scrap of paper and jotted down her thoughts. Each word felt like a brick in a wall. She was building protection against the deep-seated fears that plagued her mind. "What if?" had become a constant whisper, and she was tired of letting it dictate her day. Focus on the now, she told herself. With a bit of determination, Emily decided to take a walk. Maybe fresh air would help organize the storm in her mind. She threw on a light jacket and stepped outside, letting the world wrap around her. The crisp air filled her lungs, invigorating her senses. As she strolled through the neighborhood, the familiar sights flooded her with nostalgia. A couple walked by, hand in hand, laughing as they shared jokes. Children played in front yards, their laughter lifting her spirits momentarily. Was this the essence of family? The joy, the lightness? Could she really be part of that? The thought haunted her as she walked on. Then, her phone buzzed again. A text this time. Her pulse quickened as she reached for it, nerves crumbling her focus. It was from her father, a simple message: "Can't wait to see you. Are you ready?" Emily stared at the screen, her heart thudding wildly. Was she ready? She paused to take in the expansive sky, the weight of uncertainty resting heavily on her shoulders. She replied, "I think so. Just trying to breathe." She felt vulnerability wash over her once more, hesitating before hitting send. Would he understand the whirlpool of emotions dragging her under? The reply came almost immediately. "Just be yourself, Em. I really want to know you." Those words struck a chord deep within her. They were a reminder that despite the fears looming overhead, she wasn't in this alone. She had a chance to connect, to build something new. It was daunting, but maybe exhilarating as well. As she headed back home, determination crept in to replace some of the fear. Today was just the beginning. The thought alone brought a flicker of excitement. Yet another thought nudged at her. What would she discover about her father, and about herself in the process? With her heart pounding, she pushed open her apartment door and gazed toward the mirror. Who would she see later? The girl seeking answers, or the daughter yearning for connection? The question lingered in the air like a whisper of possibility. As the hour grew closer, a sense of urgency wrapped around her heart. What if she stumbled upon secrets she wasn't ready to face? What if everything she imagined came crashing down? But what if, at the end of the day, she found something beautiful waiting for her? With that, Emily's breath hitched. She was closer to finding the truth, just on the other side of the threshold. The moment of truth was almost here. Would it be a healing embrace, or would it tear her apart once more? The coffee shop bustled with life as Emily pushed open the door. The familiar scent of brewed coffee and freshly baked pastries wrapped around her like a warm hug, a stark contrast to the cold knot of anxiety tightening in her stomach. She spotted her father sitting at a corner table, a tall figure with striking blue eyes scanning the room until they landed on her. The moment their eyes met, warmth spread through her heart. He stood quickly, almost as if he'd been waiting his whole life for this. "Emily!" he called, that smile breaking out once more, igniting a flicker of hope inside her. "Hi," she managed, forcing her legs to move. "What now?" The atmosphere felt electric, yet filled with unspoken tension. "Wow, here we are," Thomas said, gesturing toward the empty seat across from him. He looked almost nervous, much like she felt. "I've waited for this moment for too long." The weight of his words knocked the breath out of her. She slid into the chair, conscious of every eye in the cafe lingering on them. "You really mean that?" she asked, fighting past the tremor in her voice. "Absolutely," he replied, genuine warmth radiating from him. "I've thought about you all these years, wished for a way to connect." "Thought about me?" Emily echoed, skepticism creeping in. "You never reached out." "I know. I should have. Life got so overwhelming I allowed my fears to take over," Thomas admitted, the flicker in his eyes dimming for a brief moment. "But I want to make it right. I want to know you truly." Doubt nudged at her heart once more. "And what if this is all just a side effect of guilt? What makes you think you can just fix everything with a few words?" He leaned in, his voice steady with sincerity. "Because I know I've missed out on so much, and I want to share everything. There are stories I want to tell you, memories our family has history. It's a lot, but I promise I won't hold back." The spark in his voice ignited something inside her. "Our family?" she said, amazed at how quickly the word tasted like sweet honey on her tongue. "But why now?" "I want to be the father you deserve, Em. I can't change what happened, but I can show you how much you mean to me," he offered quietly, and she felt the weight of his sincerity in each word. Suddenly, he pulled out a small brown envelope from his bag and set it delicately on the table. "I brought some things that belong to you, family pieces." Emily's breath hitched, anticipation and worry roiling inside her. She opened the envelope, revealing old, yellowed photographs of times she had never known. She flipped through pristine images of her grandfather holding her, little snapshots of her father beaming in family gatherings long since faded. "Oh my God," she breathed. This is incredible." Thomas watched, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Your grandfather always spoke so fondly of you. He wanted you to have these when the time was right." An array of emotions swam in Emily's heart: joy, sadness, loss. She could see pieces of herself reflected in the photographs, stories waiting to emerge from the shadows. It all felt surreal. "You kept these?" "I always hoped to share them with you," he replied, his gaze steady. "It wasn't easy for me. I was a coward. You weren't the only one." Her voice trembled with raw honesty. "I've been scared too. Scared to hope. Scared you wouldn't even want me. Em, I want this. I want you to be part of my life, like you should have always been," he said, reaching out, his hand hovering just above hers. "Can we try together? To build something, anything?" Her heart swelled. This was the moment that could shift everything, the turning point she had been searching for. I want to, but it's going to take time, and I can't pretend I don't still hurt, she said softly, brushing her fingers against the old photographs. The air grew still as Thomas nodded, understanding. You take all the time you need. I won't rush you. Just let me show you. Let us create new memories. With those simple words, Emily felt the tight grip of uncertainty loosen its hold. They had a chance, a fragile thread of connection, beginning to weave itself into something beautiful. This was the moment she had longed for, a chance to bridge the past with the present. Okay, she whispered, her voice filled with newfound strength. Let us take it one step at a time. Together, he affirmed, light breaking through the storm that had been raging for so long. And just like that, Emily felt something inside her awaken. As they shared stories over coffee and pastries, she began to see the man before her not just as a distant figure, but as a father ready to embrace all their potential. In this moment, amidst laughter and memories being built, Emily understood that the journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but it was hers to take. She had stepped into the light, and for the first time, she felt a sense of belonging. A newfound hope danced between them, weaving the threads of their fractured history into something bright and vibrant. They weren't just reconnecting, they were creating a new future, rooted in love, history, and hope. As the sun dipped lower, painting the cafe in shades of gold, Emily felt grateful not just for the moments shared today, but for the promise of tomorrow. And when she left that coffee shop, she knew this was just the beginning. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your thoughts matter. And remember, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.